York. This is 5th grade math module 4 lesson 7. Today we're going to learn how to multiply fractions using models. So we're going to do a quick review first. It says shade 1/4 of the rectangle here. So I've broken my rectangle up into fourths already, into 4 equal pieces, and I'm just going to shade one of these fourths. This is kind of just a reminder on how to use these visual representations or visual models. And then here it says shade 3/5 of the rectangle, so I'm going to need to shade 3 of these fifths. I already broke it up into 5 equal parts, and I'm going to shade 3 of them, leaving 2/5 unshaded. And it says when drawing fractions, they must have blank parts, they must have equal parts. And that's really important when we're talking about fractions. Fractions are must be equal parts of a whole. So we're going to model how to multiply fractions using these visual models. And this one says 1/2 times 2/3. So I'm going to make 1/2 vertically here. So I'm going to break this rectangle up into 2 halves this way with a line right down the middle. And then I'm going to make it into thirds horizontally. One here and one there. And what I'm going to do to make this easier to see is I'm going to use 2 different colored pens to color this in. You can use colored pencils, you could use crayons, or you could just use different shading patterns if as long as you can see it well. I'm going to use 2 different colors just so it's easy for you guys to see as I'm doing it. And it's asking us to shade one of these halves. So I'm going to shade a whole half here in blue. Alright, I want to be able to see these lines still, so I'm going to darken them in a little bit. Alright, so we have one half here shaded in blue. And then it says we need to shade 2/3 in red. So horizontally, I'm going to go right over my blue here. I'm going to shade 2/3 top to bottom with red. And my solution is going to be where these 2 colors intersect. So it'll be the total number of parts I have when I cut into halves and then into thirds. Maybe if I go this way, it'll be a little easier to see. But I need this space here is going to be my solution, is the space that's where both blue and red intersect. So that is this space right here. And if we look at our parts, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. And a little bit tough to see there. I was going to see if I had like a black pen or something here to shade that in, but the pencil will have to do for now. But if you see, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts all together, and 2 of them are shaded with both blue and red. That's where those 2 colors kind of meet in the middle. So our bottom number will be 6, and our top number will be 2. We have 2/6. And we could simplify that if we wanted to. We can divide both of these by 2, divide 2 by 2 and we get 1, and divide 6 by 2 and we would get 3. So we'll end up with 1/3 or 2/6. You could leave it as 2/6 if you like as well. Not a problem. We're going to try a couple more. This number 1 here says 2/5 times 1/4. So we need to make fifths. I'll make those vertically here. So I need 4 lines to make fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, if I have parts. And then I need fourths going this way. So when I make fourths, I always try to, I split into 2 halves first, and then I cut those halves and have to make fourths. And now I have a 5x4 grid here, so I have 20. I'm going to be dealing with 20ths. But first, let me shade my fifths, 2 of my fifths in blue here. So I'll go vertically, and I'll shade 2 of my fifths in blue. 1, 2. So 2 of these columns there are blue. And then I need to make 1 of my fourths red. So I'll make this top 4th red. All right, and again, with those squares where I have both red and blue, that will be my answer. So I have 2 20ths, 2 of these squares out of 20. And I can simplify that because those are both even numbers. I can know they're both divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. So I'll end up with 1/10 or 2 20ths. Next, in number 2 here, we have 2/3 and 3/4. So I'll start off by making thirds vertically here. So I have myself some thirds, and then I need to make fourths. Again, fourths, I always make my center line first to split that into 2 halves. And then I'll cut my halves in half. Just the easiest way to do fourths. And try to make the pieces as even as you can, as equal as you can. Obviously, some of these pieces are a little smaller and some are a little bigger. We'll have to use our imagination a little bit here. That's okay. You don't need to be a perfectionist when you draw your lines, as long as you know that they represent equal parts. And we need to shade 2/3 of this blue. So I'll do 1, 2. So 2 of my thirds are blue. And then 3 of my fourths will be red. So I have 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's see what I have here. I'm going to make my lines a little more pronounced so we can see them, so we know how many pieces we have. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. We have 12 pieces all together here. And how many are they intersecting? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 12 of those squares are shaded in. So I'm going to have 6/12. And just looking at that, I go, 6 is half of 12. So I think 6/12 will be equivalent to 1/2. Well, they're both even numbers, so I can divide both of them by 2. Sixths. But then I look and I go 3/6. Well, 3 is half of 6. So again, I think I'm going to end up with 1/2. But they're both divisible by 3. So what if I divide the top by 3 and my bottom by 3? If I divide my numerator, I get 1. I divide my denominator, and I get 2. And just as I suspected, I end up with 1/2. And 1/2 is the equivalent to 6/12. It's also equivalent to 3/6. I chose to simplify that fraction as much as I could. Sometimes you'll be asked to do that, so it's important to know how to simplify, but not necessarily within the scope of this this particular lesson. If you wanted to leave it 6/12 for our purposes today, that's perfectly fine. But know that 6/12 is also 1/2, and if you look at out of these 12 squares, these 6 are shaded with both, and then these 6 are not. So like we have the same amount shaded as unshaded. Let's move forward here to number 3. We'll try a few more of these. We'll do number 3, which is 3/5 times 3/4. This time we'll have to make fifths, so we make 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, they're not super even, but we will use our imagination for now. It says 3/5, and then we have 3/4, so we have to make fourths this way. They look a little bit more even now that we made the fourths that way. Alright, so we have to shade 3 of them vertically. 1, 2, 3 columns. Shaded blue. And it doesn't matter which one you shade blue and which one you shade red, you can choose. I'm just staying consistent with the way that I do it to make it easy to see. And then we're going to shade 3/4 here horizontally. So I shade 3 of those rows red. And as you see, we have this section right here where we have shaded red and blue. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares shaded out of 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5 is 20, so we're going to end up with 9 20ths. And we're not going to be able to simplify that. 9 20ths will be our final answer. And we'll do one more here. We'll do number 4. So it says 1/2 and 1/4. This one should be pretty easy. We don't have to draw a whole lot of lines. We'll split it in half vertically because we've been doing our first number vertically. We'll stay consistent with that, and then we have to split into fourths horizontally. And I need to shade just 1/2 here. And I need to shade 1/4. So we look at the part that has both red and blue here. We have 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will give us 1/8. So 1/2 times 1/4 is 1/8. So we'll stop right there. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully this makes multiplying fractions a little bit easier for you. We'll see you guys next time, and have an awesome rest of your day.